Welcome to the show. I'm Doug Gottlieb, and I'll tell you why Terrell Pryor just did something even more embarrassing than this flinch, and why the Patriots' path back to the Super Bowl may be harder than you think. Speak for yourself. Starts now. McIntyre didn't get the tie memo. What's going on? You didn't get the memo? Where? It's Thursday. Dress up on Thursday. Casual
Dress
Friday.
down Thursday.
Hello and welcome. Cowherd Whitlock still off, but I'm joined today by the Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson, Super Bowl champ Greg Jennings, and the tireless wonder, Mr. IG himself, founder of the big lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's start in the NFL, shall we? Where it may just be preseason, but Jags All-Pro corner Jalen Ramsey is talking trash in a postseason manner. In a profile in GQ this week, Ramsey took aim at quarterbacks across the league, saying, among other things, Matt Ryan, overrated. Josh Allen, trash. And Eli Manning is nothing without Odell. Eli was asked about Ramsey's comments.
Jalen Ramsey made a comment that at this point in your career, you're only a good quarterback because of your connection with Odell Beckham. Do you have any comment on that or any retort?
No. Who?
Oh, he wanted it. He wanted it. He's like, who? Who?
He knows.
Who? Look, I feel like this is how dudes talk, right? Oh, Josh Allen, trash. He's, he laid into Joe Flacco. Some of it wasn't necessarily accurate. Like, I don't agree with the accuracy of some of his depiction of players, but he's entitled to his opinion, and he's at a position that this is allowed and almost expected, right? Like, he wants to be the next prime time. He wants to be the next Richard Sherman, and this is how he wants to carry himself. It's bringing attention to him, and I think all of that is by design. So I guess I ask you, Jason, did he cross the line?
Not at all. This is outstanding, Doug. You know, sometimes we'll talk about where's the win when there's a statement or an incident. This is all victories for the NFL. Finally, we're not talking about the anthem, right? Finally, we're not talking about protests and maybe weighty matters. This is fun. Trash talk is great. You know who does a lot of this? The NBA. They always win on social media when the players are going back and forth. This is a huge win for the NFL. Absolutely love every ounce of this. And let me say, the only disagreement I had was with Andrew Luck. He really took a shot at Andrew Luck, which I think is way out of bounds. Otherwise, I thought Jalen Ramsey was spot on. And let me add one thing real quick. Okay. When you look at the schedule, this is great news for the Jaguars and the NFL. All of a sudden, Jacksonville's now relevant. In week 1, you can start hyping Jalen Ramsey versus Odell Beckham. Week 2, you think Tom Brady's going to go after Jalen Ramsey? This is going to be an occurring theme throughout the season. Ben Roethlisberger, who he beat twice last year, setting up against Jalen Ramsey in that defense. This is great all around for the NFL.
Okay, listen, first you compare it to the NBA. I don't remember any NBA player saying another NBA player sucked. That never.
Maybe
no, that is
on
social
not. Media, this happens.
He's garbage. No one said suck. No one said garbage. Okay, so this is and then here's the other part to you, Eric. It's hey, look, you can. If it's about you and the guy you're matching up against, but is this negative attention or negative energy from his team to the teams he's playing? I'm just wondering how Tom Coughlin's going to react.
Well, you know, coaches always have a different perspective. You know, they want you to kind of keep it in-house. As a player, you know, especially the corners are a little bit more outspoken. They go against the receivers one-on-one. And I don't have a problem with it because, like he said, I think he's pretty much spot on, except Andrew Luck. I disagree with that. Right. Andrew Luck has lit him up. Yeah. As a cornerback, they're aggressive anyway. I mean, they are. And as news people, y'all want to hear something good. Well, here's something to write about. He give me something to talk about. And he's that kind of player. He's young, you know, he's feeling himself. And, you know, like you said, he wants to be the next Deion.
Over the line?
Absolutely not. This is what you expect from a high-profile, elite cornerback. And this is what the Jaguars obviously expect. This is Jalen Ramsey at his best. This is what he does. He's not going to back down from any receiver, let alone any quarterback, or any team for that matter, because he understands I have a supporting cast up front, my front seven, and my counterparts in the back end with me that we're going to get it done. Jalen Ramsey, I think he's a breath of fresh air. Yes. He really is.
The NFL needs more of this, does it not, Doug?
It's not politically correct.
Listen,
right.
I agree with all of that. And I do think it's like you walk into where a bunch of mechanics are sitting around 5:15 on a Friday drinking beer, and they may say something that's not politically correct, and the second an outsider comes in and is like, whoa, what are you guys talking about? I understand this is the talk of locker room, and this is trash talk about dudes that you've actually gone against, or Josh Allen, who he mislabeled. He said, I saw Josh Allen against Iowa State. and he threw 5 picks. Iowa State's not even a big-time team when it was really Iowa.
Did he throw 5 picks?
Right?
He might have. He might have, Eric.
I think he did.
Throw 5 picks.
His team was like, look, but he just got suspended for going after a reporter. My question becomes, Tom Coughlin's running this team. Doug Marrone is from the Tom Coughlin family tree. And the only fear is they're like, yo, look, Jalen, we love you. We love how you play. We love how you go after dudes on a Sunday. But we don't need you going after everybody during the week. That's too much negative attention, too much negative energy. That's again, the only kind of negative I could see in this. If you do something that your boss has told you to tone down and you crank it up to 11, you're going to feel a repercussion from those statements.
You mentioned Deion Sanders, and that's a great point, Doug. Earlier you mentioned Deion Sanders. And I look at Jacksonville. We can't write about Jacksonville on the big lead. Nobody clicks on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't have a fan base. They're probably one of the weakest teams in the league when it comes to fans and national audience. Jalen Ramsey just made them interesting. Isn't that what we want? Eric, we want interesting on TV. We want interesting on radio.
Eric, nobody's disputing that this is media gold, right? Like, we're not the only TV show. I just did Cowherd Show for 3 hours. It's a great topic. It's great. You can have a lot of fun with it. I'm just talking the inner workings of a football team, right? Like, he took it easy on Blake Bortles. He'd do what he got to do, which is like...
See, and I don't think he took it easy on Blake Bortles. I think... You're not going to take a shot at your own quarterback, but he gave truth.
Yeah.
He said he'd do what he got to do. Basically
Hand the ball off, right?
Basically saying we need him to manage the game, take care of the football. We got you.
Which is a shot, though.
It
right?
is but it's true.
He could have said he's better than people think.
Hold it. But that's a lie because he's
lying about Andrew Luck.
But you know,
inaccurate.
Inaccurate, I think. It's just because Andrew Luck hasn't played in 2 years, so you're like, oh, okay, I forgot about. He did light me up. But when you say the truth is not always pretty. It's not always popular.
Right.
No, but it's the truth.
And it's his truth.
It's his
experience. So his experience with Ben Roethlisberger is, shoot, I've caught picks on this guy. He hasn't done anything to interest me to where I can say he's great or he's elite. He has made plays against top tier quarterbacks, even when he says Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady don't suck. This is just Jalen Ramsey not going to give in and saying, oh, they're amazing. No, because he understands I have to stay in their head as well.
Yeah, listen, I love it, okay? And I do think it's the talk of the locker room, but I also think there's also kind of some clever branding there, right? Richard Sherman the interview with Aaron Andrews made Richard Sherman as much as the play of him, right? A.J. Bouye is an all-pro. He's in the same defensive backfield. No one on earth knows he exists because he's not talking like Jalen Ramsey. So as much as it is the truth, he's doing it, I think, for a reason outside of just trying to get in dudes' heads. All right, let's move to Denver, where John Elway has faced a lot of questions about the quarterback situation lately. And he's even said he's thinking about adding a veteran to back up Case Keenum. Well, today, one reporter asked if he would consider signing one veteran in particular, Colin Kaepernick, to which Elway gave a pretty definitive response.
Well, you know what, and I said this a while ago, and, you know, Colin had his chance to be here. We offered him a contract. He did take it. So, you know, and as I said in my deposition, and I don't know if I'm legally able to say this, but, you know, he's had his chance to be here. He passed it.
All right, couple things that I think got exposed today, that the deposition is the lawsuit, Colin Kaepernick against the league. And I think if that's what he said under oath, there is no lawsuit, right? There just isn't, because there wasn't some grand conspiracy to keep Colin Kaepernick out of the league if, in fact, this is true, which it's been reported as such. He was with the San Francisco 49ers. They didn't want him. He said, we'll take you, this is in 2016, if you'll take half the money. You'll take $7 million. And Colin Kaepernick passed on it. I also think, guys, it changes some of the narrative that especially social media has fallen into. I'm not going to tell you that I don't think he was at least partially blackballed by his stance with the national anthem. But there's also a part of it, he was beaten out twice by Blaine Gabbert. He had issues in dealing with teammates. He had the headphones. He had not relating to teammates. And the job of the backup quarterback is not to be a starter, to want to be a starter. You can want to be a starter. The job of a true backup quarterback, when it's already set in place that Case Keenum, for example, is the starter, is to make that starter better. And that's not, nor has it ever been in the makeup of Colin Kaepernick. That's why when he met with Seattle going back a year ago, remember Pete Carroll came and had a press conference like, look, he still thinks he's a starter in this league. We still think, all right, that might be. So in Seattle, Russell Wilson's the starting quarterback. If you come in to meet with us about being the backup, you have to be all in on being that backup. So I think it gives us, in one short soundbite, it gives us a greater perspective on all of the different things which have kept Colin Kaepernick out of the National Football League, more so than just taking a knee when the national anthem spoke.
Agree with everything you said, Doug. That was phenomenal. I would just add this. At 30 years old, Colin Kaepernick's coming in somewhere to be a backup, if he's going to go anywhere. And you know what the role of a backup quarterback in this league is. Hold a clipboard, don't say anything, stay away from the media, and be ready if your number's called. And I just don't think Colin Kaepernick at this stage in his career is ready to do that. I think it's open and shut that I don't think he's coming back in this league unless he's willing to be a backup, and he's made it clear he doesn't want to be one.
I think Colin Kaepernick is through in the National Football League. That's just my opinion. I don't think he'll ever play again. I also think that, John Elway said it best. I offered him a job. He didn't want to take the job. Now, there are, say, 30 other teams out there that say, look, don't offer him a job. We're not having this. Because John Elway can't speak for every team in the National Football League. He can just speak for his team, what the Denver Broncos are going to do. But do I think he'll ever play again? And being a backup, if he is a backup or a starter, I think he's a backup. He's a lot better than a lot of quarterbacks out there. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
That's something starting.
But Eric, and I disagree with you slightly, Jason, and I pose this to you guys. I think people get caught up in watching backup quarterbacks and they're like, well, he's better. Of course he's better than the backups. But that's not the job.
Yeah,
he's the backup.
But again, that's not the job of the backup.
Right.
Okay, the backup quarterback, there's a cut that we've played with Derek Carr. And when Derek Carr was announced to be the starter ahead of Matt Schaub said, hey, man, I'm ticked. I don't think it's the right decision. But from this point forward, my job is to get you ready, right? That's the veteran guy, the Josh McCown in New York, right? Eventually, Sam Darnold's going to be the starter. And Josh McCown will do everything in his power to make sure Sam Darnold succeeds. It's not that he's not talented enough. It's that it's kind of like a backup point guard in the NBA. A backup point guard in the NBA is not the same position as a starting point guard in the NBA. Backup point guard has to press 94 feet, has to change the energy of the game, has to be able to play without the basketball some, to play with the starting point guard. It's a different role, and I think most of America sometimes gets caught up in watching backup quarterbacks and saying Colin Kaepernick at his peak, which was 5 or 6 years ago, is better than the other backups. They're right, but that's not what it takes to get that job.
Well, when we look at this, Colin Kaepernick is to blame here, as well as the NFL. He has been blackballed. There is no question about that. But we can't just put all of it on the NFL. A lot of it has to do with his style of play. Every team and every organization isn't willing to bring in a backup or a starter in that regard to make sure that they change and alter their offense around this type of player when another backup has to suit his skill set. Right. That means they're going to run an offense and run a certain type of way. There's no diversity there. He's a run-first quarterback. He's not an accurate guy. So he is to blame for a lot of his opportunities being missed and passed on, and him even passing because he sees himself as something that he really is not, which is a pocket passer, and what most quarterbacks in this league are sought after to do. That is not Colin Kaepernick. If he stayed in his lane and he embraces the backup role, he would have a job, I believe, and he would have had a job before this, like John Elway offered him, but he wants to be the starter, and not every offense is going to suit his liking skill set.
Yeah, I want to make sure and get to this. You said he's being I don't think he's being blackballed per se. What you're describing is not being blackballed, right? Blackballed is, hey, nobody hired this dude, right? That's not what they're doing.
Well, I mean,
there's
but some of that has definitely taken place.
Do I think there are some owners which have gotten with other owners or to themselves are scared of the potential backlash? Yes. I talked to the general manager who said that, look, in addition to the other things, small hands, doesn't change, not willing to be a backup. He's like, look, it's not if you hire him, it's what happens if you fire him. What happens if we cut him? If we cut him, are we going to be called a racist? If we cut him, is it because we're scared of political pressure? Can we cut him? Can we not? Do we lose half the locker room if we cut him? Because now other guys feel like, hey, I got to stand up for Colin. He's my teammate. I take a knee. So I do think it's some of it, but I also think there's a lot of football aspects, and I think there's a lot of pride to Colin Kaepernick, in addition to the fact that we have forgotten he lost his job in San Francisco to Blaine Gabbert twice. Okay, it did. It happened well before any of this took place. I think it paints a more clear picture. Is that a little bit more fair than just saying he's blackballed?
It is a little bit more fair, and I will add to this. If we take away Colin Kaepernick's face and his name, and we just insert another player, if he came with antics, off the field issues, regardless, or just stuff that was detracting from who we are trying to be and what we're trying to promote as an organization, teams, ownerships, and general managers and head coaches are going to steer clear of any player like that.
Right.
Not just because of the kneeling,
Right.
not just because of all these things. So I do agree with that, but there has been some collaboration and heightened because of what he chose to do as far as his kneeling in this protest.
I think there's general agreement, at least for the most part here. Welcome back. Eric Dickerson, Greg Jennings, Jason McIntyre are back. Let's move to Terrell Pryor, who obviously had some fun. We had some fun with that flinch earlier this week, but Pryor seems to be taking it in stride, poking fun at himself in a tweet about the incident with the hashtag head turn, hashtag flinch and run gang, before explaining, quote, it's crucial for me to be a positive role model for the kids who came to training camp to watch us. My behavior here and during the season is bigger than proving some sort of point during joint practices. I will continue to work hard and lead by example, not making it about me and keeping it focus on the Jets. Dude, really?
Did you write that? Did you
just,
write that?
guilty,
Did you write that?
guilty,
Did
yes,
you write that?
I don't play Fortnite. My son has played some, but you got to take the L dance
No.
at some point. Just take the L. Yeah, dude, I flinched. It happens. My bad. Like, let's move on. This trying to explain it's about the kids, you know? Listen, it's about the kids. But no, it's not. You had a helmet and shoulder pads on. He had none on. And DJ, like, all right, I'm a little bit, even if he would have said, hey, I'm a little bit scared of DJ Swearinger.
Here it comes.
But if he would have just said, I'm a little bit scared of that dude. He's crazy. He's crazy. Look at his eyes. He's got crazy eyes. I've been like, all right. Or he surprised me. Dude, he surprised me and I flinched. My bad. I'll get him next time.
Yeah, Doug, I got
But
it.
the
Sure.
whole idea that it's about the kids.
Come on, he's
Jason.
just tossing that in. Doug,
It's just about the kids.
We're bashing a guy for taking the high road, for not going after DJ Swearinger. Imagine if he had, done something idiotic, like a lot of these divas do at wide receiver. We'd be bashing him. So now he puts out this nice statement that's very professional. He's a 29-year-old. Eric, stop laughing. Listen,
You had
this
to
was,
throw the
I'm
divas.
impressed. I'm impressed. Greg, you can speak to being a diva.
That's not a diva moment if somebody
well-
flinches at you and you
Well,
respond.
no, I'm saying wide receivers
Say it
can
with
be
your
divas.
chest, Jason.
He
Say it with
can't
your
win
chest.
here, Greg. What can he do?
Take
No,
the L.
I'm with you.
Thank
I am with you, Jason.
Is it
Number
about the
one,
kids? It's
number
about the
one,
I want to hear what
Jets
you got to say.
PR team, whoever is the head of PR, applause to you because
Yes.
that was a perfect statement. But now this is what he has to live up to the remainder of the season. He has to be a leader in that locker room and on the field. His play has to showcase this. Like, this is why I didn't respond, because my team needs me because I am important to what we're trying to get done as an offense. If that is the case, which what this statement is saying basically, I need to see that. So my question now to you, Eric, what is he tonight? What does he do?
It's nothing. You can't do nothing. You got the film out there. You can't call him and say, hey, man, look.
How does he
why
bounce
you
back,
do-
though?
Go out and score a touchdown against DJ Swearinger when they play. That's the only thing you can do. Because, man, like you said, he got a helmet, he got shoulder pads on, he ducking like that. You can't, if let's say you do flinch, you flinch a little bit, you got to come, hey, man, you got to be right back in his face. You can't do that. I mean, come on.
Okay, so Eric, what's the move then? What should
You wouldn't-
Terrell
he can't
Pryor
do-
have done? He
He should have stepped right to him.
No, we're past that. He put out this statement,
Past
and
that?
you don't like the statement.
I
So
don't
should
like
he
the
have let it go? Should he have
No.
apologized?
You say, you know what? I did flinch, but I did one thing. I'm not afraid of him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again.
And that's
or
it.
even look his.
I mean,
his tweet
let
was
me put it to you like
That
this
is
here.
not terrible.
But let me tell you,
I like
it would. See, I'm being politically correct because I can't say what I want to
Yes.
say, what I really want to say. You know, we really
say-
want.
you
As a
can say what-
football player, you know how you really feel. I tell you what, I'm gonna get.
Yeah, but you're a Hall of Famer. You can do that. Terrell Pryor's 29. He's trying to just hang on.
If I was
make the
29, if I
roster.
was 20, if I was 22.
Yeah, you're
man,
Eric Dickerson.
I wouldn't that Eric
hold
Dickerson.
Hold on. I actually think he was on the path. I completely disagree with you on the PR team. That's where this thing got bungled. Look, go back and look at the tweet. Hashtag, flinch and run gang. Like, that's funny. It's okay to make fun of yourself.
It is. I agree.
It's
You can't
okay.
do both. You can't do both.
Now, the whole idea that's for the kids, like, come on, stop
He's
it.
a quarterback.
God,
First thing.
He's a role model.
He's a
He is a
quarterback.
role
He's still
model.
a quarterback.
Look, things that you, when you say, I think you're lying. When you say it ain't about the money, it's about the money. When you say it was because for the kids, like I do, like
It ain't about the kids.
Would you think in the split second to which he thought he was getting a 2-piece to when he flinched, you really think it was like, oh wait, I can't. The kids gotta flinch.
But by adding the kids, he squashed this. There's no
he
story.
did.
Hold on,
He made it
hold
worse.
on. What can DJ Square do next? He can't say anything. He'll look like a moron. He can't come back.
He doesn't have
after
to. He don't
Terrell
have to.
Pryor.
He
No, but
doesn't
have to.
Exactly. It's squashed by what Terrell Pryor did. It's done. Moving on. Right? We're moving on.
The second that he comes across the middle and he flinches at somebody who's
okay.
then
Alligator
that tape
arm.
is
Do
going to
you
run.
remember-
When he scores,
Yes.
Yeah.
But
That should be his touchdown dance. His touchdown dance. His touchdown dance should be, right?
Yeah.
His touchdown dance could be a flinch, and then again he makes fun of
Do you
himself, and we're good.
You remember when Matt Barnes faked the ball at Kobe?
Yes.
And Kobe just stood there?
Yes.
Like what?
Right.
That's it. Like what?
That actually,
Yeah.
his,
so now everybody's just stone faced when somebody
Hey,
flips out.
come on.
Hey,
Come
look,
on.
I'm not gonna-
Hold on.
man.
Greg, what would you have done?
Honestly, I can say a lot of things because
I know,
I'm not in that
but
situation.
you got to put yourself. Try to put yourself in this.
If I put myself in that moment after seeing that, I feel like I'm going to respond and react. I know I'm going to move out the way.
I agree with that.
But I'll probably counter with something else. So for me, it's more of he did respond. He just walked at him. After him, he didn't throw a punch. If he had thrown a punch and done something,
Take your helmet off and throw it at him.
No. If he had thrown a punch and done something stupid and then he hurt his hand, then we're talking about the fact that he should have never responded like that. He should have never reacted. Stop it. Terrell Pryor, go out there tonight, make a play, walk off the field like you've been there before.
That's right.
And stick to the program.
He's a quarterback at heart.
yeah,
He's a quarterback.
absolutely.
Ohio State's a quarterback at heart.
No.
Yeah.
Saw him play quarterback, you would have thought maybe Terrell Pryor's left-handed, and people don't even know it. Eric Dickerson, Greg Jennings, Jason McIntyre, all back. Let's move to New England, shall we? Where Tom Brady, the defending AFC champions, are expected to make his personal preseason debut in a Super Bowl rematch against Nick Foles and the Eagles. But if you expect these teams to meet again in February, you might want to think again. The Eagles, they don't even know who their Week 1 starter is going to be. No Alshon Jeffrey, Carson Wentz still recovering from injury. The Patriots have so many holes on both sides of the football, and they won't have Julian Edelman first 4 games. So I guess the question to all of us is who's most likely to have that Super Bowl hangover? And obviously the Eagles are new money, right? And new money, you never know how guys are going to spend new money. But I think it's the Pats, and I don't think it has anything to do with the Malcolm Butler thing. I think they walked the dangerous path last year, guys, of not having any playmakers on the defensive side of the football. They were a bend but don't break, and let's hope that Tom Brady can bail us out in the end, create mismatches for Rob Gronkowski, and find Danny Amendola, who replaced Julian Edelman. Now you're waiting on Edelman, who, remember, is coming back off ACL at 32 years old. We don't have no idea what he's going to look like when he's back. They've already cut 2 wide receivers who they thought would be among their top 4. You're dependent upon Gronk, who's always hurt. And at some point, Tom Brady's going to start to get to the bottom of his career, or at least the downside of his career. It hasn't happened yet. I look, they got a schedule where 6 of 8 games in one stretch are on the road, kind of a weird schedule within the National Football League. There's some signs there to where I know they're in the AFC East, and I'm going to almost always hand them the trophy, especially with the Jets likely to start a rookie, the Bills to start a rookie, and the Dolphins are starting Ryan Tannehill, which is good news for everybody else in the division. But I think I'm more concerned about the Patriots this year than I am the Eagles, because every NFL guy I talk to is like, look, they got dudes out there, and enough dudes make plays.
Let me start with the Eagles. I think it's pretty clear here that the NFC is much stronger than the AFC. No doubt about it. Saints are good. Vikings, on down the list. Aaron Rodgers is back. But when you look in the division, you just made jokes about the Patriots division. Hey, listen, the Cowboys, that's not 2 easy wins. The New York Giants, gamblers in Vegas love the Giants this year. That's a team on the uptick. And the Redskins, Alex Smith he's not awful. He's going to win you a game. So in the division,
tremendous regular season quarterback.
In the division, I think they're going to have some problems. And then the last one is the Carson Wentz situation. Coming off the injury, I love Wentz. I missed on him at the draft. I didn't think he'd be this good. He was your MVP maybe last year before the injury. I got to say, Eric, when you look at Carson Wentz, if he struggles out of the gate or showing some signs, you got the Super Bowl MVP on the sideline. I just feel like that cloud hovering could be an issue for the Eagles. Could be.
Well, yes, but I'm saying that the team that's going to suffer is going to be the Patriots. And I think one reason is because, first of all, you got a 41-year-old quarterback. You lost your left tackle. He goes to, where did he go?
Giants.
Went to the Giants. Remember Joe Theismann? He got hurt late in his career.
Yeah, broke his leg.
Broke his leg. Now you have the Eagles, to me, who's had Jay Ajayi, added him at running back. He has a full season to get to know the offense. It's always good for a running back to get to know his team. I just feel like the Patriots are the team. To me, they don't have enough. Last year, people talking about, we kept saying the defense is no good. The defense is no good. They didn't upgrade the defense. They didn't upgrade the defensive backs. So I feel like this is the team that I don't think. You hate to say they won't be there. I think they'll be somewhere lurking around because of the division they play in, but I don't think they'll be as strong as they were the last couple of years.
Will they win their division?
Of course.
Okay, that completely derails your entire point. Yours too. When you go against the AFC East, and the New England Patriots are still in that division with Tom Brady and nobody else, they still will win. Bottom line, case closed. The Eagles, however, it's not so much of a hangover that they'll have. It's the level of competition is just too stout, too stiff within their own division. If you look at their own division, there has been no repeat division winner in the NFC East since the 03-04 Eagles team.
It was the Eagles. But hold on. Listen, do I think that their division is better? Sure, but are the Redskins a playoff team? Hold on. Are the Redskins a playoff team?
No, they're not.
Okay, the Giants were one of the worst teams in the National Football League, and I know they have a rash of injuries. Did they suddenly fix that defense? Eric Flowers he's not on the left side, he's on the right side. He's still on the offensive line, isn't he? Right? Wait. Hold on. The Dallas Cowboys. Who are they going to throw to?
Doug, would you, if the Patriots had to face the NFC East twice, would their odds be better or worse of winning that division?
Oh, look, they would be worse. I would have, if you want to tell.
That's my point.
Hold on, though.
That's exactly my
Are
point.
the Eagles going to win their division?
I'm not. I don't know.
Are the Eagles going to win their division?
If we go back to
Jennings.
If we go back to history,
Jennings,
no.
you just said our point. You just said our point didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Patriots are a lock in
But
their
it's
division.
not. It's not because of a lack of play. It's because of their talent that they're playing. Their competition is stiffer and stuff. If you look at the NFC as a whole, they've had 9 different teams represent them in the NFC in the Super Bowl over the last 10 years. Seattle being the only team to go twice. So this is a revolving door in the NFC because of the competition is just stiffer.
I'm not disagreeing that it's not stiffer. The question is who you're more concerned about. Like, dude, the Patriots, who do they have?
Who do they have?
Who do they have? I mean, look, Eric's predicting a broken leg. Eric's predicting a broken leg.
I'm not saying a broken leg, but that can't happen.
But the point, like, I think, tell me if we all come to a disagreement. Eagles are the better team, tougher. They had a 4th place schedule, now 1st place schedule, and they're in the tougher conference. Patriots, easier division, probably a tougher overall schedule, but clearly the weaker overall personnel, right? Like, if you had 22 starters lined up, you're probably taking 18 Eagles.
Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. Tom Brady, Bill. That's all you need to know.
See, I can't honor. The reason why I can't honor that is because this is who the Patriots are.
I got it.
They've never gone after high-profile free agents, or they've never really hit big, even in the draft. So
they're great on the waiver. They win on the waiver.
Exactly. This is who they are. They find guys that will complement what they're trying to get done and will not bring their ego before the team.
But But the guy that they put all the eggs in the basket is turning. He's 41 years old. We can't forget that.
Coming off an
41.
MVP.
Yeah.
I was going to say, did he win
41.
MVP?
I mean, with a spectacular
That was last
dad bod
year.
as well.
Last year.
One part that's underrated is that the Patriots are used to being everybody's biggest game. The Eagles are not, right? So that's going to be a different for them. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. All right, to Oakland, where John Gruden returns to the sideline. It's been clouded by the absence of his best defensive player, Khalil Mack, who is reportedly no closer to ending his holdout than when training camp started. Gruden claims the holdout hasn't been a distraction, but there's one guy who would like it to be. Former Raider coach Jack Del Rio, who just weighed in on Twitter, writing, quote, "Gotta pay the man. Mack is the total package, great player, and even better person." Guys, John Gruden can say it isn't a distraction because it's not. Remember, most of these players, most of the guys that he brought that were already there, okay, he doesn't have any sort of connection with. He's making all the calls. Those players are worried about their job. They're not worried about Khalil Mack and whether or not Khalil Mack gets paid. Khalil Mack's under contract this year, and if the Raiders want to play hardball, he's under contract next year and the year after that. And there is no negotiation. No one's sitting out an entire season. Eventually, he'll be there. It's not a distraction when you're worried about keeping your job and worried about impressing your new boss. Am I wrong here, Eric?
No,
you think it's a distraction?
No, I don't. I talked to Greg Townsend yesterday, and I asked him about Khalil Mack, and he said, Eric, one thing is that the defense wasn't good last year. He said, talk to Gruden. The defense was we were terrible last year. He said, and also with Khalil Mack, we weren't really no better. I think he had, by week 14, I think he got his first turnover. He said, so what are we missing? I mean, I disagree with that because I think Khalil Mack is a great football player. I think he helps that football team.
Agreed.
I mean, to me, the best football player in the NFL defense, Aaron Donald, should be in camp. That's a whole other subject. But I really believe they need to get something done there because, you always want your player happy. Let's just say he plays under the franchise tag this year. He's going to come back. He's not going to be happy next year.
This is his rookie year. It's not a franchise. Next year would be franchise tag. But look, guys, they don't have any money. They don't have any money.
Doug, the question was distraction.
Yes.
The only discussion right now with the Oakland Raiders is Khalil Mack. Nobody cares about these wide receivers they picked up, any other positions. It's all about the one guy who reliably delivers. I know last year was a bit down for Mack, but the entire team was garbage.
Hey, but
they were bad.
He's part of that team.
By definition,
part of that team.
Their defense was bad the
that
year
doesn't
before.
mean Khalil Mack is bad.
I didn't say
He's
that
great.
he was. Look,
and him not being there is clearly a distraction, without question. John Gruden has talked about this 5 times now.
Because
Between
he's
the
asked
training
about
camp
it.
has been open. Well, because
he's
he's
it's a
their best
distraction.
player. That's
might
a
not be
distraction.
It's a distraction. It's clearly a distraction. If I were to say who's the best player to put on an Oakland Raiders helmet this year, who would you say? Khalil Mack. No, absolutely not. We would. People would only say Derek Carr because he's in the quarterback position.
Right, which is the most important position on the field.
No, it is.
And when he went down with injury 2 years ago, they were a terrible team.
Absolutely.
Khalil Mack there,
but
Khalil
when
Mack
you
out
look
there, they're not a
when
bad
you look
defense.
at what Khalil Mack brings, not only to this team, but to that defensive unit, to the Oakland Raiders organization. He's been drafted there. He's done everything right. We've heard his previous coach talk about how great of a person he is. Sometimes as a player, you have to do things that you feel like you're deserving of. And holding out, although it's not the most appealing thing from a fan's perspective, they will never understand. They will never understand that.
No.
But sometimes you feel like you're being underserved when it comes to what's being put in your bank account. Regardless if it's more than what the average person makes, it's a true
2 years
true
ago,
value.
they were a playoff team, and guess who was the defensive player of the year?
He was.
Take a
But
guess.
they were one of the bottom 5 defenses in the National Football
He was
League.
still
But
a
he
wrecking
was a
ball.
standout.
Hold on. Listen, I'm not disputing how good a player he is. I would dispute the level of importance one defensive player is to the entirety. The perfect example is J.J. Watt has more sacks than anybody on earth, but it doesn't matter for Houston. It's whether or not their offense, when they have Deshaun Watson,
counter that
they're
with
competitive.
Von Miller in the Super Bowl, absolutely wrecking Cam Newton, winning that game for them single-handedly.
But that's not just Von Miller. Their overall defense was outstanding, much like the Rams' overall defense is outstanding. The point is, it's only a distraction because the media keeps asking about it. My feeling is, and look, you guys have been in camp. I have not been in an NFL camp. But the way I look at it, it's like when you come, when there's a change atop at your place of work, right? You can't worry about somebody else's contract, whether or not somebody else shows up at work, because all you want to do is please your new boss, because he didn't sign you. He has no ties to you. And so the question becomes, is it a distraction to the actual Raider players? Not to the press conferences, not to John Gruden, but to the actual players. And tell me if I'm wrong, but when it's somebody else's money, you don't think about it. You don't care about it. All you're concerned about is your own job and how you're viewed by your coaching staff.
Eric, I'm going to answer this really quick because it really depends on who you are and your status on that football team. But it is a distraction to the players because a lot of guys who think that they have an opportunity to make this team, it's really because Khalil Mack isn't there and you're getting more reps.
Right.
So the
you're
moment
happy. You're like,
so
this is
exactly,
great.
you're happy, but the you're in the back of your mind,
I don't want to see
you
that guy
know
walking down
the
the tunnel.
moment he walks into this building,
Somebody's getting cut.
It's over. It's over
And
for
I'm
me.
sure the cornerbacks are not thrilled knowing Khalil Mack ain't rushing the passer.
Yes.
You're already a bad secondary. What's going to happen without a pass rush?
Khalil Mack is the best defensive player on that football team, for sure. So when he's there, they're a average defense. Now, you're talking about a guy, I hate to say I'm going to go to Aaron Donald. When he's out of that unit, that is still a good defense, but he makes it great. Khalil Mack does not make it great. Is he worth the money? Most definitely, because he's that type of player. He's a game changer. Even though it's one guy, but he's still a game changer.
Right. Now you're making me have memories when Randy Livingston got cut in the NBA. I was in the CBA. I saw him walk into the building, and I knew time to pack my stuff. Welcome back. Jason McIntyre's back. We're joined by Fox College football reporter Bruce Feldman. Let's move to college football, shall we? Where Ohio State is still investigating what Urban Meyer knew and how he responded to former assistant Zach Smith's domestic violence allegations. And the school's self-prescribed 14-day timeline for the investigation will expire this weekend. Now, several anonymous sources in college football tell the Chicago Tribune there's no way Urban Meyer loses his job over the incident. And while it appears to be trending that way, Bruce, I will say that coaches of the ilk of Urban Meyer tend to get a pass. And I think he gets a pass because of his success at Florida, because of his success at Bowling Green, and at Utah and Ohio State. But even he spent 2 years in the media at ESPN. I think that helped him in terms of his relationships. And I think he was generally thought to want to get away from the mess that was SEC recruiting and the fact that he was seen as a guy that tried to save kids. I think he loses that pass. I think he loses some of the shine off of the crystal clear armor that he had worn until this point. Like, it's one thing to lie and be disingenuous to the media about an injury report. It's a completely other thing to be so steadfast and so arrogant and defiant at Big Ten Media Day when, frankly, you're in a friendly court, right? And you had time to prepare, and he was defiant, and then he comes back and says, well, you know, maybe I didn't tell the truth there, but trust me, I told the truth when I was supposed to tell the truth to my boss, Gene Smith, and threw Gene Smith completely under the bus. So, like, even if he keeps his job, I don't think it brings down this program, but some of that shine, some of that luster off the star, and I think he loses that free pass that he had probably earned in the past.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, yes, he's a highly successful coach, won national titles, 2 at Florida, one in Columbus, but Ohio State has fired huge, iconic coaches. They fired Woody Hayes. They fired Jim Tressel, and Jim Tressel was at the top of his game. And I would argue what Urban Meyer right now is in jeopardy for is a much more serious, real-world issue than what Jim Tressel got in trouble for, which was tattoos and not being honest with the NCAA and extra benefits. But it wasn't a domestic violence issue. I agree with you on the point about people had given, maybe some people had given him the benefit of the doubt. You know, back from his time at Florida where he had a lot of second and third and fourth chances to kids who got in trouble. And I think you'd look at that and go, okay, well, that was him about trying to win games and giving talented kids other opportunities if you're cynical and looking at it that way. In this case, Zach Smith was not like this, you know, world-class receivers coach.
Yeah.
I mean, this was basically him helping his mentor's grandson. And now we got to find out, like I saw it says Chicago Tribune, no, there's no way. We don't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's trending, as you said, in that direction towards them finding evidence to keep him. But we don't know all the email and all the discussion that possibly could go on. I mean, as I said, this is a school that fired Jim Tressel and fired Woody Hayes, whose statue is in front of the building. So let's see what the investigation finds.
You made a great point about, like, this was Urban Meyer protecting his buddy's godson? Is that what? Okay.
Grandson.
Okay. When you look at that, and you separate it from him as a football coach, I think his legacy as a football coach is cemented, right? I mean, 3 national titles, probably already a top 10.
But you can't separate the two.
well,
You can't
It's not,
separate
it's
all
not
that.
cemented. It's not. Woody
as a
Hayes
football-
What is Rick? I'll use a basketball. What is Rick Pitino's legacy?
Yes.
He won championships. He's a great coach on the court, but there's a lot of scandal around
And
it.
so you separate that when you look at Urban's integrity, protecting your buddy's grandson.
It's his mentor's grandson, yeah.
Mentor's still though.
It's a
I just
domestic
feel like-
violence issue here, Jason. Let's look at it in this context of this. The two of the biggest issues for him in his mission statement would be honesty and zero tolerance against domestic violence issues. Both of those issues are in question right now.
And then they were at question at Florida as well. So I think definitely his legacy will take a hit as a man of integrity leading young men in college football.
And integrity is something that college coaches continually preach when they're recruiting kids. And Colin once did a segment, it was brilliant, on radio, and they went back and tracked how many college football coaches have mustaches as opposed to NFL coaches that have mustaches. Because there's this thought that sometimes people don't trust a guy with a mustache, right? That can be seen as kind of creepy. And you're like, why would they? What do they do? Why do they all try and be clean cut? They're not scruff and wearing hoodies on the sideline the way that Bill Belichick is, because it's about trust. And a lot of that trust is gone. Remember, regardless of what he knew about Aaron Hernandez, he did harbor Aaron Hernandez. Like, that was there. Forget about the Percy Harvin and some of the other nonsense that took place. Carlos Dunlap gets a sleep at the wheel DUI before the SEC
Chris
championship
Rainey's
game.
text, the time to...
Right, another domestic violence issue. Look, I'm with you. I don't know what he knew, when he knew, or what he did about it. And I do think the 14-day timeline feels really, really sped up, although maybe we have a ton of digital evidence and they knew beforehand. But any pass that he got before and any statement before about, well, listen, this is about honesty and integrity, like, come on, dude, it really rings hollow considering what we know now was at least going on some level, regardless of how toxic that relationship was. Welcome back. Jason McIntyre is here for Last Call. Let's move to the Big Three, where league founder Ice Cube says he's still trying to get the Mamba, Kobe Bryant, to join the league, even though Kobe has repeatedly turned him down. McIntyre, should Kobe join the Big Three?
I think Kobe should instantly counter with, yeah, give me an ownership stake. Let me get a little slice of equity, and I will gladly join the Big Three. I'll show up in L.A. to the biggest crowds we've ever had. He'll go to Philly, his hometown, and turn out huge crowds. I think it would be great.
Quick hard pass. No disrespect to the Big Three. A lot of good NBA players, but his last game in a basketball uniform, a Laker uniform,
Did have
60 points, Mamba out. Okay, you don't
think
that.
you could drop 60 in the Big Three?
Derek Jeter was 5 for 5 in his last game in a Yankees uniform. He's not going to go play in some Japanese league, is he?
He might.
No, don't
Give
think
up the reins of the Marlins? Come on.
Gottlieb out. That's it for us. See you tomorrow.